idea of a pressurized system next to an infinite vacuum. The idea that we live on a spinning water ball in space next to a vacuum is scientifically impossible when examined through natural laws of electromagnetism and pressure systems. Let's break it down step by step. 1. Gauss's law and the evidence for a containment barrier. What is Gauss's law? Gauss's law states that the total electric flux through a closed surface is proportional to the charge enclosed within that surface. In simple terms, if Earth has a uniform electrostatic field, it requires a boundary or a closed system to maintain that field. This suggests that Earth's atmosphere is not freely dissipating into an infinite vacuum, but is contained. The Earth's charge distribution behaves as if it is enclosed within a field or dome-like structure. If Earth were an open system, the atmosphere would leak into space, violating Gauss's law and observable electrostatic principles. Test 2, the vacuum problem. No evidence for an open system next to a vacuum. The second law of thermodynamics disproves the infinite vacuum model. The second law of thermodynamics states that high-pressure systems always move toward lower-pressure areas unless a barrier is present. If space is a near-perfect vacuum, zero pressure, and Earth's atmosphere is pressurized, air should immediately disperse into space. Yet, we still have an atmosphere, meaning a physical or energetic containment must exist. No experiment has ever demonstrated a high-pressure system existing next to a vacuum without a barrier. NASA's own admissions contradict the heliocentric model. NASA states that the thermosphere reaches thousands of degrees, yet spacecraft supposedly operate fine in this region. NASA also admits that we cannot send humans beyond low Earth orbit, suggesting a barrier prevents further exploration. The Van Allen radiation belts behave like an energetic boundary, further supporting the idea of a contained system. If no barrier exists, why do we not see experiments proving a pressurized system can exist next to a vacuum? 3. Electrostatics, the Earth's potential and containment. The Earth has a rising electrostatic potential. As altitude increases, the electric potential, voltage...
Explain the trickery to you here. Basically, what happens in a plane is this is designed to suck in air at a high rate and create like a turbo engine to basically suck in air here, pressurize it, and blow it out the back. That pushes the plane forward. The only thing this fuel injection atomizer is used for, tiny little spark of fuel in here, this will create thrust. When do we need that thrust? Takeoff. For 1% of the plane's functioning, takeoff. The whole rest of the ride is just sucking in compressed air and blowing it out the back. Watch this video. At the end, I'm gonna cap this together and show y'all, because what y'all don't realize is this system shows you that these afterburners are burning the whole time and fire is coming out the back, and it's not. That's why when you're on a commercial airliner and you're looking at these, you don't see any fire coming out the back. You see them on jet fighter planes, don't you? Why? Because they are thrusting and using fuel the entire time.
We will explain the technology behind the jet engine in a logical, step-by-step manner. A jet engine keeps an aircraft moving forward using a very simple principle, the same that makes an air-filled balloon move. Yes, Newton's third law of motion. Just like the reaction force produced by the air moves the balloon, the reaction force produced by the high-speed jet at the tail of the jet engine makes it move forward.
Commonly held misconception that the Earth is a spherical object that revolves around the Sun. But the fact is, of course, that the Earth is a circular dish surrounded by a barrier of ice that explorers have been attempting to penetrate for centuries. 2,000 years ago, an Egyptian scholar by the name of Eratosthenes performed an experiment that he claimed proved the Earth to be a sphere. However, there are serious doubts about the accuracy of his data and his scientific procedures. Dr. Leo Ferrari explains.
The Eratosthenes experiment is an experiment supposedly conducted in the 1st century, whereby this ingenious person was supposed to have proved, I say that in quotes, that the Earth was a sphere of some 4,000 miles radius. Eratosthenes one day noticed that the sun was directly overhead in Syene, whereas he noticed that on the same day, at the same time, the sun made an angle of 7.2 degrees to the vertical at Alexandria, which was some 530 miles away. How did Eratosthenes in the 1st century know what the sun was doing on the same day in two places which are 530 miles apart? One can take all those same data, knowing that the Earth is flat. In one place you have the sun directly overhead, and at another place, at the same time, at 530 miles away, let us suppose that it does make an angle of 7.2 degrees to the vertical. Then we have a right-angled triangle, which it can be easily shown the sun is some 4,000 miles up in the sky. These superficial, even, considerations show that it's impossible. The whole thing, it's a story, a fairy story made up and mindlessly repeated in textbooks.
Fortunately, not all scientific arguments are based on such questionable research. The Greek astronomer Ptolemy determined to everyone's satisfaction that the Earth is flat, circular, and the central body in the universe. His theory went unchallenged for 1,200 years. Not surprising, really. One need only look around. However, the notion that it was some other shape gained some acceptance during the Renaissance. These were impoverished times. Most writers, artists, and scientists could not support themselves through their work. They depended on the patronage of the upper class. Consequently, creative and original thinking men let their imaginations run rampant in order to attract support. In 1543, the Polish astronomer Copernicus suggested
Rover, this is Houston.
Hey guys, so as you know, I'm obviously in the front lines battling in support of the globe model, obviously because the Earth is a globe. But yeah, anyways, had a little hiccup today when debating with a flurf. Was curious if you guys could help me out. Basically, this dude told me not to Google a geoi because I'm gonna cry and scream if I see the search results. Well, obviously I did Google it because I'm not scared of any flat earther. But yeah, when I saw the results, to be honest, I was a little bit disheveled. The definition read as follows: the hypothetical shape of the Earth coinciding with mean sea level and its imagined extension over land areas.
Oh, really? Oh.
And well, yeah, it kind of went downhill from there. And it honestly caught me off guard. I didn't know how to respond to that. I was telling him that I needed time to verify that definition, or at least watch an Astro Kobe video. At that point, I was already really frustrated, and unfortunately, I couldn't take any more of him mocking me in front of everyone. And basically, I lost my cool and started yelling and screaming at him, telling him that the definition is probably glitched or something because, like, there's no way, right? Can someone, hopefully an astrophysicist, please tell me that it's not true? Eratosthenes and Brian Cox have told us the Earth is round. And you know what, I believe them over some dumb flurf.
Alright guys, I'm at the point where giants of this size, you know, the 15 to 20 foot variety, I've proven without a shadow of a doubt, to myself at least, that these guys existed. The preponderance of evidence is there from all the newspaper articles in the early 1900s and late 1800s, and papers even like the Chicago Tribune and the New York Times, all the old relics and artifacts that are just huge that weren't just for decoration. The evidence is there. It's talked about in the Bible. These guys existed. I am on to bigger and better things. I want to prove that there were 100-foot giants. And I'm, like literally having to look straight up 100-foot Jack and the Beanstalk type giants. Follow along. I think I got some evidence of it.
Within a place called Laos, a landlocked country in the heart of the Indo-Chinese peninsula, is probably one of the most confusing archaeological sites on Earth. We have often covered possible evidence left within countless newspaper archives, logged witness testimonies, and indeed many stolen bodies of a type of ancient human far larger than we are today. Additionally, there have been many intriguing ancient giant artifacts which have been found at many sites around the world. Tools, utensils, and structures created in such scales they would be virtually useless in the hands of modern-sized people. And our archaeological site within Laos could perhaps be seen as one of the more compelling remnants, possibly left by this gigantic race of humans. However, what is...
I just want to show you a few more of these. These are, in my opinion, these are literally mugs from giant humanoids back pre-flood, pre-Noah's Ark, pre-flood. It's talked about in the Bible. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I just want to show you a few more of these giant size artifacts. Come on. No one's designing this for art or decoration, right? These were literally unearthed. Okay, so they were under the mud. People unearthed them. They're not modern decorations. They aren't modern society. These were bowls of giants. To me, this footprint, or handprint even, matches about the size of those mugs. Look at this, a full-grown human here standing next to that. Okay, these were massive. Back before the flood, before there was less air in the atmosphere, and the atmosphere wasn't as rich, everything was bigger. Trees were bigger, animals were bigger, humans were bigger. And they weren't humans, they were Nephilim, they were giants, they were the product of fallen angels mating with human women. I want to show you more Bible evidence and then even another video that just continues to prove this. So I used to think the Bible was a fairy tale, was fiction. Flat Earth, the firmament, and other things in the Bible prove to me that it's actual literal. Giants prove that to me. And there's talk in Numbers 13:33 of how there were Nephilim here in those days. We seemed like grasshoppers to them. Okay, so they were so big that we seemed like grasshoppers. I truly believe that the Bible is a literal account of our history. And I just want to show you a few more things that further emphasize that these monsters existed.
Some people in Northern Europe were surprised when they found a very strange rock. I don't know what kind of stone it is, but its color is very similar to flesh and blood. Legend has it that it is the flesh of petrified giants. Because it was not suitable to exist in the New Age, God destroyed them, and they turned to stone. These rocks look nothing more than chunks of meat. Not only that, people also discovered rocks with strange shapes, such as human faces and bodies. The mountains look like human muscles. Do you believe there are giants turned to stone in the world?
I'm not fully committed to believing that these 100-footers were here. I know there were 15, 20, even 25-foot giants, and I'm going to keep digging, though. I'm going to keep seeing what I can find. There's some evidence that's making me lean towards it, but I'm not totally convinced yet. What I am convinced is those smaller giants existed, and they've been hidden from us to hide the Bible's truth and to hide God. So I'm going to keep digging. If I can find more proof of these big boys, I'm going to keep you guys updated, and it just proves God even more because it talks about the bigger ones in the Bible. Have a good one.